Sweden does not announce itself loudly. It reveals itself slowly, in morning light stretching across a frozen lake in February, in the silence between words during conversation, in the patience of someone waiting for a bus that may not come for 30 minutes, and yet no one seems troubled by the wait. This country stretches nearly 1,600 kilometers from the farmlands of Skåne to the Arctic tundra above Kiruna, and across that distance, one thing remains constant: a quiet belief that life should be balanced. Not too much, not too little, just enough. The Swedes call it lagom. Stockholm, the capital, feels less like a city and more like 14 islands that grew buildings, 57 bridges where Lake Mälaren meets the Baltic. Water is never far. Ferries glide between the medieval alleys of Gamla Stan and the sleek facades of Södermalm. But to understand what it means to live here, you must look past the postcard, past the cinnamon-scented bakeries. You must travel north, where the sun does not set for weeks in summer and does not rise at all in winter. You must stand in the silence of a pine forest in Småland at dusk, or sit in an apartment kitchen in Gothenburg as a family gathers for nothing more than coffee and a cardamom bun. Living in Sweden is not about a single place. It is about a rhythm, shaped by the land, carried through the seasons, and shared by millions. This is how people live in Sweden. To live in Sweden is to live inside its geography. The land does not sit passively in the background. It dictates the rhythms of the day, the food on the table, the thickness of your coat, and the very mood of an entire population. Begin in the south. Skåne is where Sweden feels most connected to continental Europe, a short bridge away from Copenhagen, with gently rolling fields of rapeseed that turn impossibly yellow each spring. The coastline here is soft, sandy, welcoming. In the seaside town of Ystad, the horizon over the Baltic stretches flat and endless. Farmers here harvest earlier than anywhere else in the country. The growing season is generous, and the winters, though dark, are relatively mild. Move north, and the landscape begins to change within a few hours of driving. Småland rises, a province of deep forests, glassy lakes, and stubborn granite. This is where the soil turns thin, and the trees take over. Tiny villages dot the countryside, many of them built around a single church, a single road. It was here, among the pine and birch, that generations learned self-reliance, making furniture, forging tools, clearing land that did not give itself up easily. Further still, and you reach the Great Lake Belt. Lake Vänern, near the city of Karlstad, is the largest lake in the European Union, so vast that on a misty morning you cannot see the other shore. Lake Vättern cuts deep and cold between rolling hills, feeding rivers and canals that once carried iron ore and timber to waiting ships. Then comes Stockholm, a city built where the lake meets the sea, spread across an archipelago of more than 30,000 islands. Some of these islands are no bigger than a single house. Others, like Värmdö or Lidingö, hold entire communities. In summer, families load their boats with provisions and disappear for weeks into the labyrinth of granite islets, anchoring in quiet coves where the only sound is the lapping of water against rock. Travel west, and Gothenburg offers a different kind of water. This is Sweden's gateway to the North Sea, a working port city where the air smells of salt and fish, and where the archipelago is harsher, windswept, treeless, raw. But the true transformation happens as you cross into Norrland. This is the vast northern half of the country, where the population thins dramatically and the forests grow denser. In Jämtland, the land rises into mountains, proper mountains, with snowcaps that linger into June. Near Åre, Sweden's premier ski town, the winter brings deep powder and the summer brings endless daylight for hiking across alpine meadows. And then there is the far north, Swedish Lapland. Above the Arctic Circle, near Kiruna and Gällivare, the landscape becomes almost otherworldly. In winter, temperatures drop below -30 degrees Celsius. The snow does not melt for 6 months. The northern lights flicker green and purple across a sky that seems closer than anywhere else on Earth. In summer, the midnight sun circles overhead for weeks without setting, and the Sami people, the indigenous inhabitants of this region, continue their ancient practice of reindeer herding across the same tundra their ancestors traversed for thousands of years. The environment of Sweden is not just beautiful, it is demanding. It shapes character. It teaches patience. It reminds everyone who lives here that nature is not something you visit on weekends. It is something you negotiate with every single day. A typical day in Sweden begins quietly. In Stockholm, as the first light breaks over the rooftops of Östermalm, apartments begin to stir. The average Swede wakes around 6:30 in the morning. Earlier in the north, where commutes can be long and the darkness compresses the useful hours of the day. The first ritual is almost always the same. Coffee. Black, strong, usually from a drip machine that was set the night before. Breakfast is simple. 2 slices of knäckebröd, crisp bread, with butter and cheese, perhaps a slice of ham or a smear of caviar paste from a tube. A boiled egg, a glass of milk or filmjölk, a kind of fermented milk that Swedes have consumed for centuries. Nothing elaborate, nothing rushed. Then comes the commute. In Stockholm, hundreds of thousands descend into the tunnelbana, the subway system, whose stations are carved directly into the bedrock, painted in deep blues and greens, often described as the world's longest art gallery. The trains are punctual. People stand in orderly queues. Eye contact is minimal. This is not rudeness. It is the Swedish understanding that everyone deserves their own space, even in a crowd. In Gothenburg, trams rattle through the streets, carrying workers toward the Volvo factories and the harbour offices. In Malmö, cyclists dominate. The city has invested so heavily in bike lanes that more people cycle to work than drive. And in the small towns of Värmland or Hälsingland, the commute might be a solitary drive along a forest road, the car's headlights picking out moose at the tree line. What distinguishes Swedish daily life more than anything is the pause. Somewhere around mid-morning, the country stops for fika. This is not merely a coffee break. Fika is a social institution, a moment carved out of the working day to sit with colleagues, with friends, or alone, and share coffee and something sweet. A cinnamon bun, a cardamom twist, a slice of almond cake. In offices across the country, from the Spotify headquarters in central Stockholm to the LKAB mining offices in Kiruna, work pauses. Conversations drift from projects to weekend plans, from politics to the weather. No one checks their watch. This is not wasted time. This is essential time. Lunch follows a similar rhythm. In Swedish workplaces, lunch is rarely eaten at the desk. It is a proper meal, often subsidized by the employer, served in a staff cafeteria or taken at a nearby restaurant. The Dagens rat, daily special, is predictable and comforting. Pea soup and pancakes on Thursdays in many traditional establishments, a habit that dates back centuries. The workday typically ends early, by 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon. Evenings are reserved for family, for exercise, for the outdoors. Parents pick up children from förskola. In the forests surrounding cities like Umeå or Östersund, cross-country skiers glide along illuminated trails in winter. In summer, the evenings stretch on, and dinner moves outdoors. Grilled fish on a balcony overlooking the water in Gothenburg, or a simple meal eaten at a wooden table beside a red cottage somewhere in Dalarna. By 9 or 10 in the evening, the country begins to settle. Lights flicker off in apartment windows across Stockholm's Kungsholmen. In the countryside of Öland, the last sound is the wind through the windmills that dot the island's flat horizon. The day ends as it began, quietly, without ceremony, and entirely on its own terms. There is a house that appears again and again in the Swedish imagination. It is small, made of wood, painted deep red with white trim around the windows and doors. A flagpole stands in the garden. Smoke curls from a chimney. This is the stuga, the summer cottage, and it represents something fundamental about the Swedish relationship with home. The red paint itself has a story. Falu red, as it is known, originated in the copper mines of Falun in Dalarna County. Starting in the 16th century, the mining byproducts produced a pigment that happened to be cheap, durable, and oddly beautiful against the deep green of Swedish forests and the pale blue of Nordic skies. Today, that red cottage is less a building style and more a national symbol, replicated everywhere from the remote villages of Västerbotten to the coastal communities of Bohuslän. But most Swedes do not live in red cottages. They live in apartments. In Stockholm, housing is a constant preoccupation. The city's rental market operates on a queue system. You register, you wait, and if you are patient enough, after years or sometimes decades, a first-hand contract becomes available in a desirable neighborhood like Vasastan or Södermalm. The alternative is the second-hand market, where short-term rentals change hands frequently, and young people move every year or two, carrying their IKEA furniture from one temporary home to the next. Swedish apartments, regardless of location, share a certain aesthetic. Light is precious during the long winter months, so interiors tend toward white walls, minimal clutter, and large windows left uncurtained. Candles are everywhere, on windowsills, on coffee tables, on bathroom shelves. In Malmö's Västra Hamnen district, the modern apartment blocks angle their facades to capture every available ray of sun. Even in the depths of January, when daylight lasts perhaps 6 hours as far south as Gothenburg, the interiors glow warm and inviting. The Swedish family has changed dramatically over the past half-century. Today, families come in many configurations. Single-parent households are common and unremarkable. Same-sex couples raise children openly and with full legal recognition. The average family has 1 or 2 children. Grandparents are more likely to live independently than with their adult children. Sweden has one of the highest rates of single-person households in the world. Yet family remains central. In the small towns of Småland, multiple generations might still live within walking distance of each other, not in the same house, but close enough for a Sunday visit, a shared meal, a grandchild dropped off for the afternoon. In the north, around Luleå or Skellefteå, family ties hold communities together through the long winter months, when isolation can become oppressive, and a knock on the door from a relative can change the entire texture of a day. Swedish food culture begins with seasons, because in a country this far north, what you eat is determined, quite literally, by what the land will give you at any given moment. Spring in Skåne brings the first new potatoes, small and waxy, boiled simply with dill and served with butter and pickled herring. Summer across the entire country is a celebration of abundance. Wild strawberries from roadside stands in Östergötland, crayfish pulled from lakes in Småland, chanterelles gathered from forest floors near Jönköping. The Swedish rite of allemansrätten, every person's right to roam, means anyone can forage for berries and mushrooms on any land, public or private, as long as they respect the property and leave no trace. The smörgåsbord remains the iconic Swedish meal. At its most traditional, served during Christmas or Easter in homes from Uppsala to Lund, it is a long table laden with dishes served in a specific order. Pickled herring first, then cold fish, then cold meats, then warm dishes, then dessert. Mustard glazed ham, Jansson's temptation, a creamy potato casserole with anchovies, meatballs always, Prince sausages, red cabbage, and snaps, small glasses of aquavit accompanied by drinking songs. The meatball, of course, has travelled the world, but the authentic Swedish version, served in a school cafeteria in Linköping or a roadside restaurant outside Sundsvall, is modest, small, firm, pan-fried, accompanied by mashed potatoes, cream sauce, lingonberry jam, and pickled cucumber. It is comfort food, nothing more and nothing less. In the north, the cuisine changes. Near the coastal city of Umeå, surströmming, fermented Baltic herring, remains a cultural touchstone. The smell is legendary, the taste an acquired art. It is eaten outdoors, ideally on a crisp August evening, wrapped in thin bread with potato, onion and sour cream. It is the kind of food that divides the country, but for those who love it, it is a taste of home in its most elemental form. The cultural calendar is anchored by food. Midsummer, celebrated across the country, but perhaps nowhere more intensely than in Dalarna, revolves around pickled herring, new potatoes, strawberries, and schnapps. The Lucia celebration in December brings saffron buns and ginger cookies, served by candlelight in churches, schools and offices from Stockholm to Gothenburg. The crayfish party in August, with its paper lanterns and bibs and silly hats, marks the end of summer with rivers of beer and mountains of bright red shellfish. Coffee culture deserves its own mention, because Sweden consumes more coffee per person than almost any nation except its Nordic neighbours. In the university city of Uppsala, students gather for hours over cups of coffee between lectures. In the hipster neighbourhoods of Stockholm's Hornstull, specialty roasters have elevated coffee into something approaching art. But in most places, coffee is simply coffee, a reason to sit down, to pause, to talk, and to connect. Sweden has built one of the world's most successful economies on a paradox. You do not have to sacrifice your life to earn your living. The Swedish work culture can be summed up in a single observation. By 5 o'clock on a Friday, offices are empty. The concept of fredagsmys, or cozy Friday, is practically sacred. Families gather with tacos and crisps and watch television together. This is not laziness. It is a cultural consensus, reached over decades, that productivity and well-being are not opposing forces, but two halves of the same equation. The industries that power the Swedish economy are strikingly diverse. In Gothenburg, Volvo, both the car manufacturer and the truck company, employs tens of thousands, and the entire city seems to orbit around its factories and engineering centres. In the far north, near Kiruna, the state-owned mining company LKAB extracts iron ore from one of the world's largest underground mines, ore that feeds steel mills across Europe. In Stockholm, the tech sector has created a disproportionate number of global success stories. Spotify, Klarna, King, Mojang. The gaming and fintech industries have turned the Swedish capital into what some call a unicorn factory, producing billion-dollar companies at a rate matched only by Silicon Valley. Smaller cities have their own specializations. Linköping is an aerospace hub, home to Saab's defense and aviation division. Malmö has reinvented itself as a center for sustainable urban development and creative industries, with the turning torso skyscraper standing as a monument to the city's post-industrial transformation. Even rural areas participate in the knowledge economy. The town of Boden in Norrbotten is becoming a center for green steel production, part of Sweden's aggressive push toward carbon neutrality. What makes Swedish work life different is not just what people do, but how they are protected while doing it. The parental leave system is among the most generous in the world. 480 days of paid leave to be shared between parents, with 3 months reserved specifically for each parent. Use them or lose them. In offices across Stockholm and Gothenburg, it is common to see fathers taking 6 months or more away from work to raise infants. No career penalty, no stigma. The welfare system, funded by some of the highest tax rates in the world, provides a safety net that shapes every aspect of life. Healthcare is essentially free. Education, from preschool through university, costs nothing. Elderly care is publicly funded. The trade-off is clear. Swedes pay a significant portion of their income to the state, and in return, the state insulates them from life's most destabilizing shocks. This system is not without its critics. Debates about tax burden, about integration, about the sustainability of the welfare model are constant in Swedish public discourse. But for the average person living in Sweden, whether assembling trucks in Gothenburg, coding in a Stockholm startup, or teaching in a school in Örnsköldsvik, the deal is accepted as fundamentally fair. If you arrive in Sweden from a more outwardly expressive culture, the first thing you may notice is the quiet. Swedes do not fill silence with small talk. They do not chat with strangers on buses. They respect the invisible boundary between people, the personal space that extends not just physically, but socially. This reserve is frequently misunderstood. It is not coldness. It is not unfriendliness. It is a cultural premise that relationships should be meaningful, and that superficial interactions are not a necessary part of daily life. Once you are invited inside a Swedish home, once you have crossed that threshold, the warmth is genuine and deep. Social life in Sweden flows through organized activities rather than spontaneous encounters. People join clubs. Sports associations, known as idrottsföreningar, are the backbone of community life. Nearly every child in Sweden passes through one, and many adults remain involved for decades. Choirs are remarkably popular. In Lund, in Visby, in Örebro, thousands of Swedes gather every week to sing together, their voices arranged in four-part harmony, performing everything from classical masses to ABBA arrangements. The traditions that anchor the Swedish year are ancient but living, not museum pieces, but events that people genuinely participate in. Midsummer, celebrated on the Friday closest to the summer solstice, is perhaps the most important. In the town of Leksand, in Dalarna, thousands gather around a maypole decorated with birch leaves and wildflowers. Children wear flower crowns. Adults dance in rings, singing songs about frogs and washing clothes. Songs that every Swede knows from childhood, no matter where in the country they grew up. The day bleeds into a night that never truly darkens, especially in the north, where the midnight sun allows parties to continue until dawn. In December, Lucia brings light to the darkest time of the year. In Stockholm's Storkyrkan Cathedral, in Gothenburg's concert hall, in the wooden church of a village in Hälsingland, a procession of white-robed singers enters in darkness. A young woman wearing a crown of candles leads them. The ancient song Sancta Lucia rises, and for a few moments, the winter outside seems far away. The crayfish party in August is something else entirely, a raucous, tipsy celebration of the end of summer. In gardens and on balconies across the country, from the Stockholm archipelago to the coast of Halland, Swedes don paper hats, hang colourful lanterns, and eat boiled crayfish with abandon, washing them down with beer and schnapps while singing increasingly incoherent drinking songs. Between these peaks, smaller traditions sustain the calendar. Walpurgis Night, on the last day of April, when bonfires blaze on hillsides near Uppsala and Lund, welcoming spring. Easter, when children in cities like Västerås dress as witches and go door to door for candy. The National Day on the 6th of June, a relatively subdued affair by international standards, but growing in significance each year. What unites all these traditions is their accessibility. Rich or poor, immigrant or native-born, urban Stockholmer or rural Jämtlander, the rituals are the same, and everyone is welcome to join in. No portrait of life in Sweden would be honest without confronting the shadows alongside the light. The country faces real challenges, some unique to its geography, others born of its rapid social transformation, and a few that cut to the heart of its national identity. The most immediate challenge, for anyone who lives here, is the darkness. In Stockholm, the winter solstice brings fewer than 6 hours of daylight, and that daylight is often filtered through a layer of grey cloud so thick it feels more like a prolonged twilight. But travel north to Kiruna, above the Arctic Circle, and the sun does not rise at all for weeks. The polar night is beautiful in its way. An endless blue dusk, snow that glows faintly under moonlight, skies lit by the aurora, but it extracts a toll. Seasonal depression, known in Swedish as vintertrötthet or winter fatigue, affects a significant portion of the population. People cope with light therapy lamps, with vitamin D supplements, with the collective understanding that February will always be the hardest month and that March will bring relief. Then there is the cost of living. Sweden is an expensive country. Housing in Stockholm has become a crisis. The average wait time for a rental apartment in the city now exceeds a decade, and purchasing even a small flat requires sums that are out of reach for many young people. The situation in Gothenburg and Malmö is similar, if slightly less extreme. For immigrants and young Swedes without family wealth, the housing market feels like a door that will not open. Immigration has reshaped Swedish society faster than almost anywhere in Europe. In cities like Malmö, nearly half the population now has a foreign background. This has brought immense cultural richness, neighborhoods filled with languages and food and music from the Middle East, the Balkans, Africa, and beyond. But it has also brought tensions. Integration has not been seamless. Segregation exists. In some suburbs, Rosengård in Malmö, Rinkeby in Stockholm, unemployment is high, and the gap between these communities and the Swedish mainstream is visible and stubborn. Crime, particularly gang-related violence, has risen in recent years and dominates public debate. The Sweden of the international imagination, peaceful, orderly, safe, has been forced to reckon with a reality that does not match its self-image. The violence remains concentrated in specific areas and specific networks, but its psychological impact spreads much wider. Social isolation is another challenge that Sweden's reserved culture can amplify. Moving to a new city like Eskilstuna or Borås without existing connections can be profoundly lonely. The Swedish habit of not intruding on others, admirable in many ways, can leave newcomers feeling invisible. Making friends often requires learning to navigate the club system, the workplace, the structured social activities that Swedes use to turn strangers into companions. And yet, for all these challenges, the country continues to function. The trust in institutions, in the government, the media, the courts, the schools, remains high by global standards in cities across the country, from Uppsala to Luleå. Swedes argue passionately about their problems, but they also believe, with a conviction that borders on stubbornness, that those problems can be solved. Sweden contains multitudes. It is possible to live here in ways so radically different from one another that they might as well be separate countries, except that they are bound together by a shared language, a shared set of values, and a shared understanding of what matters. Consider the contrast. In Stockholm's Norrmalm district, a 25-year-old software developer starts her morning by checking analytics on her phone while drinking oat milk cappuccino. She works for a fintech company in a converted warehouse. Her office has no fixed desks and no hierarchy. She takes her parental leave in 3 separate blocks across 2 years. She has never owned a car and does not intend to. Her life is urban, globalized, future-oriented. In the rural community of Vilhelmina, in the mountains of southern Lapland, a 60-year-old man wakes at 5. He checks the weather first, always the weather, and then goes out to feed his reindeer. His family has done this for generations. His knowledge is not written down anywhere. It lives in his memory of routes and seasons, in the way he reads the snow, in the stories his grandfather told him. His life is tied to the land in a way that the software developer in Stockholm will never experience and perhaps cannot fully understand. Yet both of them are Swedish. Both belong. The modern Sweden, the one that appears in rankings and indexes, is a technological powerhouse. Mobile payments are nearly universal. Cash has all but disappeared, even in small towns like Hässleholm or Falköping. Government services are digitalized to a degree that startles visitors. Taxes are filed by text message. Doctors' appointments are booked through an app. In the tech-forward city of Kista, north of Stockholm, the future is being built in real time. But the traditional Sweden lives on, not as a relic, but as a living parallel reality. The Sami people continue their nomadic herding across Sapmi, the traditional territory that spans the northern reaches of Sweden, Norway, Finland and Russia. Every February, the Jokkmokk Winter Market has been held for more than 400 years, drawing indigenous craftspeople from across the Arctic to trade, to sing, to share food, and to affirm a culture that refuses to disappear. The midsummer celebrations in Dalarna are not a performance for tourists. They are a lived tradition, children learning the same dances their great-grandparents learned, families eating the same food that has marked the solstice for centuries. The red cottage on the edge of a forest near Mora or Rättvik is not a museum. Someone's grandmother still lives there, tends her garden there, welcomes her grandchildren there every July. What holds these two Swedens together is a shared commitment to balance. The urban Swede dreams of the countryside, escapes to it whenever possible, and tries to carry its values, patience, simplicity, connection to nature, back into the city. The rural Swede uses technology, connects to the world, and adapts without abandoning what came before. In the small city of Visby, on the island of Gotland, the medieval and the modern coexist so naturally that they barely notice each other. Ancient stone walls enclose cafes with Wi-Fi. A 1,000-year-old church hosts a startup conference. This is Sweden at its most characteristic, not choosing between past and future, but holding both at once. After everything, after the darkness of winter, after the high taxes and the housing queues and the social reserve that can feel like a wall, why do people stay? The answers are as varied as the landscape itself, but certain themes repeat. There is the nature. There is something about the way light falls through birch trees in late summer, the way the snow crunches underfoot on a cold January morning, the way the sea and the sky blur into a single silver grey on the west coast near Marstrand. There is the simple fact that in almost any Swedish city, Stockholm, Gothenburg, Luleå, Östersund, you can walk out of your front door and within minutes find yourself in a forest, by a lake, on a shoreline. Nature is not a destination here. It is everywhere, and it belongs to everyone. There is the allemansrätten, the right of public access that allows anyone to roam freely across private land, to camp for a night, to pick berries and mushrooms, to kayak and ski and wander without asking permission. This right is so deeply woven into Swedish identity that most Swedes do not even think about it. But ask someone who moved here from a country where every field is fenced and every forest is posted, and they will tell you, this freedom is extraordinary. There is the trust. Sweden is a high-trust society. Parents leave prams outside cafes while they drink coffee inside. Children walk to school alone from the age of 6 or 7. In the university town of Lund, bicycles are left unlocked outside lecture halls. This trust is not naive, it is earned, and it is guarded jealously, and when it is broken, the reaction is fierce. But the baseline assumption, in most interactions, is that people will do the right thing. There is the safety net, the knowledge that illness will not bankrupt you, that your children will receive a good education regardless of your income, that you can take time off work when a baby arrives, when a parent is dying, when you yourself are struggling. These are not abstract policies. They are the texture of daily life for people in Umeå and Borlänge and every town in between. There is the work-life balance, the productive hours, creative, focused work done between morning fika and the afternoon pickup from daycare, the weekends that are genuinely free, the 5 weeks of paid vacation that are not just permitted but expected. In a world that increasingly demands constant availability, Sweden has chosen a different path, and for those who have tasted it, it is difficult to give up. And then there is something harder to name. Something about the rhythm, the way the seasons change, not just the weather, but the food, the activities, the mood of the entire population. The way a Tuesday in November, cold and dark and ordinary, can be redeemed by a single lit candle, a cup of coffee, a moment of stillness. The way the first warm day of spring, when cafe chairs reappear on sidewalks from Malmö to Örnsköldsvik, feels like a collective exhale after holding breath for 6 months. People stay in Sweden because the country, in its quiet, understated way, has figured out something that much of the world has forgotten: that a good life is not about accumulation or status or constant forward motion. It is about balance, about being just enough, not too much, not too little, just right, lagom. And from the southern tip of Skåne to the northern edge of Lapland, from the fishing villages of the west coast to the university towns of the east, millions of people wake up each morning and choose once again to call Sweden home. If this journey through Sweden moved something in you, if you felt, even for a moment, the pull of those northern landscapes and the quiet dignity of life lived at a different rhythm, let us know in the comments below. One word, just one. What is the one thing about living in Sweden that surprised you the most? Drop it below. We read every comment. And if you want to keep exploring the hidden corners of this world with us, the places and the people that most travelers never see, subscribe to the channel and join us for the next journey. Until then, explore more, worry less,